So that's me. This is kind of how and why I created method trading. This is why I trade how I do. This is why I coach what I coach, and everything about my method stems from this story. This is how I am, what I am, and where I am today. Hi, my name's Marisa. I'm a full-time forex trader. I'm also a trading coach and a performance coach with City Traders Imperium, a prop firm funding company. I've been trading for a few years now, a few years successfully, and before that, for quite a few years unsuccessfully. I think, like every other trader, it took me a while to become successful and many years to figure out how does trading not really work. I think I understood how the markets work pretty quickly, and I could read charts and the fundamentals of trading, with a bit of effort and time, studying courses, watching videos, you can learn all of that technical information. But I just could never put that into practical outcomes. So I just never could get an account to a profitable position and then stay profitable. When I started having a few successes, started taking some profits from the markets in the morning, I would return in the afternoon and blow my account. I just could never make trading work. And of course, I had a full-time job, a career actually in finance, which was pretty full on. So I could only do trading part-time in my spare hours on weekends. And I quit a couple of times, but I kept coming back because when I discovered trading many years ago, the appeal of it was I found it so interesting and so amazing, and I was just drawn to the idea that this could be how you make your income. This could be your job, your career. I was really drawn to the freedom that it gave you, that you could work for yourself, you could be your own boss, set your own hours, and also then, of course, that if you worked really hard, there was no real ceiling or cap on how well you could do. It was completely up to you. So at the time I was working, when I discovered trading, I was working for an accounting company, one of the top 4 companies in the world. And of course, it was very restrictive. We had clients we had to go and see, you had managers, you had to be at work at a certain time. We worked really long hours, started really early, ended late. We were working weekends. It was really intense. And everyone was doing it because this was such a great opportunity for your career, working for one of these companies. You wanted to do well, you wanted to get promoted, and then it would kind of like springboard your career. And I did. I worked really hard. I did really well. But you were always at the will of someone else's decision, someone else judging you. I found I had to do a lot of social engagement, go out a lot for drinks to network with people. It was kind of buttering up people so that they gave you better reviews. And it felt very restrictive. I felt very controlled. It felt not that authentic to me. I didn't really understand that at the time. But so when I discovered trading, the freedom that offered me when I suddenly looked ahead at my career, my 40-year career ahead of me, I was just hooked. And so from that point, even though it was hard and I blew accounts, I lost a lot of money, and then I'd quit for months at a time, I kept coming back to it. So fast forward a few years, I ended up in London. So they were correct. That job did springboard my career. I ended up in London at an investment bank. And the next 15 years was my career in investment banking. I think it was more fulfilling, but I never left the dream of trading. I kept coming back to it. I kept blowing more money, more accounts. It remained a very difficult thing to actually become profitable. It was really hard. So I now want to jump forward to how did I actually finally like crack the nut, so to speak? How did I figure out how to make it work? Well, one of the things that happened is that my career at the investment bank kind of came to a point where the pain for me was just beyond, I needed to do something. I wasn't willing to put up with it anymore. I had a terrible boss. It was stifling I felt so trapped, so incredibly trapped. And, I'd kind of been trying to find this freedom for so many years. It became normal to me not to find it. But when it suddenly hits a head or comes to a head, when it suddenly is something that is just so painful to you and you are like, I will do whatever it takes to make this work. That's kind of the point I got to. So I did a couple of things. One is I made the decision to become a professional trader. I looked at my career and I thought, I've been successful at everything I've done so far when I put the work in. Okay. I'm not just a naturally touch something and turns to gold. I have to work at it. When I was a student, I wasn't an A student. I was definitely a B and a C student. I'm not an overperforming, naturally high achieving person, but I am a good hard worker. And when I put my mind to something, I can make it successful. And I'd done that in my career. So I thought I'm just going to apply that same kind of same inner principle to trading. Okay, number one. So it's the decision I made. Secondly, I found a mentor in the trading world that just connected with me. I liked what he was saying about how to become a profitable trader, and I thought, yes, this could work. Now, why did I think that his approach could work compared to other people's approach? Well, what he was saying resonated with me because I had seen it 3 separate instances during my other career. And these things that I'm going to go into the details about now is what made me successful at other things that I had tried to do. So jobs, careers, hobbies as well. So I want to talk you through 3 times in my past where I had seen the same approach or same principles, same outlook, same ideas. And it resonated with me because I thought, wow, I didn't think that that would be the answer for trading. I now know it was because this is what made me successful at trading. This is what cracked the nut for me. But I want to take you back to the first time I saw this approach was when I was working for the accounting company many years ago. It was one of the top 4 in the world. They're huge companies and they value hiring great people and making them great. And because I was a hard worker and I'd done all the right things, I was selected to go on a leadership course because they said, well, you've got potential and we want to now make you into a successful person in our company. Of course, I left that company soon after the course. But I went on this course and it was very intensive. It opened my eyes to something I'd never, ever thought would be on a leadership course. I thought we were going to go there to study accounting, how to be an accounting leader, how to know more about accounting. It was anything but. We didn't touch anything to do with accounting. It was completely about us, very focused on you as an individual and who you are. Now, I want to just pause there because I want to fast forward to the second time in my life that I encountered these same principles because I thought this was just a one-off. These 3 days of this course I went on had a profound impact on my life. It started making me look at myself differently. And then I was lucky enough to encounter it 2 more times during my career. And then I'd say trading was the 4th time I encountered it. And all 4 times has had profound impacts on my life. So I want to fast forward to the second time I encountered this. Now, when I went to London to work for an investment bank, I also hit a little bit of a patch of feeling a little bit lost in my career and wondering, is this really what I'd signed up for? As I said, I've always felt like there's something more for me, that there's something with more freedom. Um, and so I took up a hobby, and my hobby was writing. It was actually screenwriting. And I really enjoyed it. I went for some writing courses with the amazing Robert McKee. He's the writer of Story. I had amazing workshops with him, and I was really just doing it as a hobby on the side. The workshops were on the weekends, but I thought, um, let me just try and be the best writer I can be. Again, I had that instinct for whatever I picked up, I wanted to work the hardest at it. Now, I wasn't the most talented writer, but I wanted to learn. I felt I could learn to do it. And what he said at his workshop was, if you really want to pursue writing, screenwriting particularly, you need to go and do an acting class, because you need to understand how actors read your screenplays. So, of course, me being me, I dove into it, and I didn't just go and do an acting course. I went to do a full year acting program. It was once a month, every weekend. It cost about £10,000 to do. It was called Method Acting, and you might notice that I've called my trading company Method Trading, because what I learned during this phase of just pursuing a hobby again had a profound impact on me and my successes and other things I've done. So how it played out is that I studied method acting, and at the end of the year-long course, we all went on a trip to Los Angeles. It was a week-long course in Los Angeles with a acting teacher in Los Angeles, and it was to kind of put the final, um, you know, cherry on top of your year of acting. And of course, in this course were people that were going off to be professional actors. This is what they wanted to do with their lives. I didn't think I wanted to be a professional actor. I still wanted to be a writer, but I still had my job at the investment bank, because I wasn't I wasn't going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I wanted to hedge my bets and make sure that I looked after my future. I didn't feel acting was a solid enough future, or that I'd had enough confidence in myself to do it. So, but of course, because I worked for the investment bank, I could afford the week in Los Angeles. So off we went to Los Angeles. And this was similar to my 3-day leadership course in accounting. I was expecting to go to Los Angeles and learn how to act. I thought it was going to be all about acting and how to bring out emotions and read a script and dance and sing. And it was going to be all acting. I had no idea what this week had in store for me, because the teacher he's an acting teacher, but he calls himself a success coach, and he's actually launched the career of a few people in Hollywood. And this week was it possibly had the most profound effect on me as a person and my development as a person. And what he said was, he said, we've all got talent as an actor. He said, I've seen all your scenes. You're all talented. Don't worry about your talent. And he said, look at this town. He calls Los Angeles a town. He said, this town is filled to the brim with talent. Everybody's talented. Everybody is taking acting classes, singing classes, dancing classes. They're writing scripts. They're reading scripts. They're practicing. They're making films. They are like creating constantly to just get an opportunity to be in something bigger, to launch a career. And he said, just talent is not going to cut it. He said, talent is just a given. Okay. You need that level, and you need to work to that level. And the way I see talent in acting is the same as knowing your technicals in accounting. And fast forward to trading, it's the same as having a trading strategy. Okay. Everyone's got a trading strategy. Everyone knows the charts. Everyone studies the market, reads the news. This is a given level of commitment. Okay, just because you're reading charts day in and day out, it doesn't put you here. Okay, it just puts you at the baseline. It's just the baseline effort that you actually have to put in. And then we wonder as traders, why are we not successful yet? Because we've actually only gotten to the baseline, but because it's taken us so much work and we've put in so much effort, we feel like we're there, but we're only here, we're only at the baseline. And no one said it better than this teacher in Los Angeles. His name is Bernard Hiller. And he was brutally honest. He just went, I don't care about your talent. Everyone's talented here. It's just you're not special just because you've got a bit of talent, just because you've learned to act or can do something. Everyone here can do it. He's like, this town is brimming to the brim, overflowing with talent. He said, but this is called show business. And he said, the business side of this is what elevates you. It's what puts you from the baseline. You know, everyone's got talent. Everyone knows stuff. Everyone knows the accounting technicals. Everyone knows the trading strategies. Everyone knows the acting. But he's like, what's going to elevate you to success? And he's like, that's what I'm here for. I'm going to teach you the business part of show business. And what we went through is exactly what I'd done in the leadership course in the accounting world. And I'm going to come back to what he told us, okay? Because I just want to fast forward to my investment banking career. And then I want to circle back and tell you exactly what he said, because I think the acting example explains the best. It's the best way for you to really understand what I'm saying. But fast forward to the investment banking career, it was very competitive, a very competitive environment. And I wanted to move from being kind of a pleb or just a worker in the investment bank. I wanted to become a manager, a senior manager. I wanted to manage huge teams and huge programs of work. I wanted to, just achieve a more senior level for the income, for the status of it, for the I felt that that's what I could achieve. I kind of felt underappreciated. I felt that I could do more, but no one was ever giving me the opportunity. No one could see my talent at investment banking, probably because I didn't show it. But I just felt like I needed to do something. So I sought out a coach. This coach called herself all sorts of things. She called herself an executive coach, a personal coach, a professional coach, success coach, all the same things. What she taught me over a 2-year period, I went on and off and did coaching. It was very expensive to do, but I worked for an investment bank. I made enough money, I could afford it. And we did kind of 6-month courses, saw her once a month, and then I'd go away for a few months and go and just see how it went. And I went back, about 3 times for a course of sessions. And again, this is the 3rd time in my life, profound impact, profound change. And what she taught me, what we went through, was exactly what Bernard Hiller had gone through in the acting world. It was exactly what I'd done those 3 days at the leadership course in Auckland. I was starting to see a pattern. And that's why when I saw this trading coach speak, I was like, he's saying the same thing. This is the answer. And I felt like, how did I not see this earlier? Why did I spend so many years just focusing on charts and strategy? Why didn't I see that this was the answer? Because it's been the answer in every other element of my life and how I became successful. So I want to now rewind to Bernard Hiller's course in Los Angeles. What did he teach us? Okay. So the secret to success is authenticity. It's for you to find yourself as an authentic person. Now, why? Because when we are acting, and I'm not talking about acting as in film acting, when we're acting in anything, when we're behaving, when we're taking action. So as a trader, you're taking a trade. Our actions are driven by our thoughts. Okay. If you're having negative thoughts of doubt, fear, uncertainty, hesitation, stress, any negative thoughts, your actions are going to be negatively impacted. And This is true for when you're trading. It's true for when you're acting. If you're having negative thoughts, your acting is going to be terrible. People are going to see straight through you because you're behaving in a fearful, it just oozes out of you. You're hesitating, you're not trusting. It's what makes people cringe to watch someone act in that state. They're self-conscious, okay? In the investment banking world, I couldn't get to a more senior level because when I went to meetings where senior people were watching me, I was behaving in a fearful way because my thoughts were fearful. My thoughts were doubtful. My thoughts were about hesitation, the stress of what does everyone think about me. So when I was behaving, how I was acting in those meetings was I was quiet. When I spoke up, I had doubt. I didn't ooze confidence because I wasn't behaving in that same way. My thoughts were negative. Back in the accounting world, I'm not going to give the example of the accounting world each time because it's so far away, but it's exactly the same thing. You're getting the feeling that you're acting with thoughts. Your acting is impacted by thoughts that are negative. Okay. Now let's go back to your thoughts. Why are your thoughts negative? Your thoughts are negative because your feelings are negative. Okay, that's pretty clear. You're thinking negative things because you're feeling negative things. You're feeling stress, you're feeling hesitation, you're feeling doubt, uncertainty, all of those negative thoughts. Negative feelings make negative thoughts, make actions horrible. Okay, now let's think about what actions we do want. We want positive actions. What's going to lead to that is positive thoughts and positive emotions. So when you have positive feelings, so think confidence, joy, serenity, calm, excitement, all of those positive kind of feelings. Now, a lot of them, so joy and excitement is probably a bit more expressive, but a lot of them are not that expressive. They just put you in a beautiful state of just not having to think about them. And it leads to thoughts that are naturally positive, but not clouding you, not overpowering you. You can have thoughts about other things. You're not almost not thinking. And it allows you to act in a way that we call flow. It allows you to just be, to just do what you need to do without any negative feelings of self-confidence, worry, fear, doubt. You strip away the negativity and you're left with beautiful flow. Okay. Now, I think that's clear that your actions are driven by thoughts, are driven by feelings. Okay. And it's the negative feelings that flow into a horrible state of being and a state of action. And it's positive, beautiful feelings that go into your thoughts, that go into your actions and allow you to be in a state of flow. Okay, I think that's really clear. Now, how do you stop negative feelings and replace them with positive feelings? I want to now talk about authenticity, okay, about you. A lot of our feelings, our negative feelings, are driven by how we feel about ourselves, okay? And your authentic self, you probably last saw when you were about 5, when you didn't care what people thought. You just did. Your 5-year-old probably behaved in flow, just did whatever and was just happy doing. Okay. Then we go off into the world and we go into a social structure that, unless you've had a very special social structure, most of us haven't. Most of us have gone to social structure, which is school, which is people criticizing you, people judging you, people telling you, don't do that, do this, be like that, don't be like that. And it starts to really erode your authentic self so that you're left with a self that is trying to please people. It's worried about what people think, what people will say about you. And it also filters into how you think about yourself. Okay. And these two things, what people think about you and what you think about yourself, is basically what holds up your self-esteem. Okay. Now, if you've got good feelings, like you feel people think good things about you and you think good things about yourself, your self-esteem is going to be up here. And the higher your self-esteem, the more you can be your authentic self because you're comfortable being yourself. Okay. If you are doubtful about your authentic self and you have propped up, if you're acting, if you're behaving and not being yourself, you've actually always got this worry that what people think about you and what you think about yourself will just erode as soon as you show your own perfect self. So that's the false high self-esteem, okay, where you've propped it up with non-factual, just made up you. It's not the real you, okay? And then you've got no self-esteem because you don't even know who to be because you're trying to second guess what people want you to be and what you want yourself to be, and you're completely people pleasing constantly and you don't know how to behave, okay? And this leads to feelings of fear, doubt, worry, uncertainty. You're constantly worrying what people think about you. And that is the feeling I used to go into meetings at the investment bank with. And that's why no one senior could see me as a leader or leadership material or want to promote me because I behaved in a non-confident way. And it's all driven by self-esteem here, about not being your authentic self. So rewind back. And when I did the work for acting, obviously we have to find our authentic selves, and therefore you can go onto a stage and just act without self-consciousness, without worry, without fear. Obviously you have to work very hard to do that because you're on a stage, it's a whole different ball game. But I knew how to do that, but I'd isolated it to the acting world. In the investment banking world, when I worked with my coach, I could see that actually it's the same things. I've just got to start to find myself. Now, here's what the acting teacher said. Okay, and this is what when I went back to revisit this is what changed my life. And fast forward to my trading coach, it's exactly what he said. This is what fixed my profitability issues. Is to be your authentic self, you need to start knowing yourself. You need to start loving yourself. If you don't love yourself, who's going to love you? If you don't think you're great, who's going to think you're great? You need to start with yourself. You need to think you're great. You need to make yourself the star of your own life. And that's warts and all. There's no specific way you have to be. There's no mold of authenticity. Authenticity is you. And here's the secret. The more brave you can be with being your authentic self, because you're still going to have that fear of, well, I can maybe go, oh, I'm like this and I'm like that, and I love being like that. But what are people going to think? People are attracted to authenticity. If you're just yourself, 100% yourself, people feel that. And it's the same, it's the thing that makes you charismatic. It's the thing that makes you attractive. It's the thing that makes you draw people towards you. It's the thing that ultimately makes you a leader. People want to follow you because they can see that you are your authentic self. And it's a little bit, you need to be brave to do this work, okay? And you're going to need a coach. You can try this on your own. There are lots of books that you can work through. It's going to probably take you quite a few years, but you probably need to find a coach to start doing this work. But what you're trying to do, the work you're trying to do, is to find your authentic self. Find your authentic self. Approve of your authentic self. Love your authentic self. Express your authentic self, because then you're going to start to put yourself as the star in your own life. You're going to give yourself the self-esteem you need. Other people's opinions are going to dissipate because you're like, if I can be my authentic self, then I'm just happy. And then you're going to have happy feelings, good feelings, positive feelings, leads to positive thoughts, leads to actions that allow you to be in flow. And that's the answer. And that's what ultimately made me profitable. it was a journey, and I had to piece together the pieces because no one in the trading world is talking about this. It's so inundated with strategy and trade my strategy and trade the VWAP, trade the 15-minute this and trade price action and RSI and indicators, and everyone's got a different, like, this is the secret. There is no secret. There's lots of strategies that work. Find one, back test it. Is it profitable? And then you need to act in flow. You need to be able to take action, execute that strategy to the letter of the law. And you can only do that if you have worked through like taking away all these negative thoughts and feelings, and you can't get rid of them without sorting out your authentic self. And that's where the work lies. That's the work that I do with coaching clients, and that's the work that I've done, and that's what made me profitable. So this is kind of, I guess, my story about how I went through a long. So I guess this is kind of my story about how I went through a long career, never really feeling that comfortable, and I had to take various journeys and paths to really find my authentic self. And I only found my authentic self in my 30s. Up until that time, I really was a people pleaser. I had low self-confidence. I'm an immigrant to New Zealand, so I moved schools when I was a teenager. So I kind of naturally needed to constantly be like, how do I fit in? How do I get people to like me? How must I be? And there's lots of things from your past that will inform the way that you arrive as an early adult in your 20s, and you've deviated from your 5-year-old authentic self. And the work that needs to be done is just to find yourself again. Once you find yourself, it's really liberating. It's amazing. Even if you're not a trader, I would recommend it because it sorts everything else out in your life, in your career, in your job, in your relationships. Everything you want to do, you're going to do so much better if you can find your authentic self. So that's me. This is kind of how and why I created method trading. This is why I trade how I do. This is why I coach what I coach. And everything about my method stems from this story. This is how I am, what I am, and where I am today.